Joining us now to analyze this situation is Liz Harrington, the national spokesperson for the Republican National Committee. So Liz, before we dive into Biden's cringe-worthy moment yesterday in Florida and what it means overall in that state, I just want to ask you initially, how important is the state of Florida in a presidential race?
Well, it's always important, and we're very confident that we're going to have more victories just like we had in 2016 and 2018, because the message of peace and prosperity is a message for really all Americans, but especially when you're talking about a Hispanic community that knows firsthand the dangers of the ideology that is underwriting the Democrat Party today. Bernie Sanders, are people fearing the platform? He wrote it. I mean, he might not be at the top of the ticket, but Joe Biden has ceded all of the ideas, all of the platform, all of the agenda to the socialist wing, the radical fringe that they've brought into their party. It's hiking everyone's taxes. It's Green New Deals. It's what they're doing in California, destroying that state, hiking everyone's taxes and hiking everyone's energy costs. And most importantly, taking away our freedoms. And Americans are going to reject that come November. And that's why we have a winning message in states like Florida, but really all across this country, because Americans want to keep America, America. We don't want to become a socialist country.
And the demographics in Florida are interesting to me because right now we do talk about the idea of maybe the progressive takeover within the Democratic Party, but people in Florida, especially Hispanics in southern Florida, they've seen this story before. They've seen how this worked out. They're from families who may have fled those type of horrors firsthand. And now here they are, once again in a crucial swing state, and they see the Democratic presidential nominee essentially being a vehicle for those very same policies here in the United States. So do you think that they are a good indicator and perhaps the canary in the coal mine, if you will, for the rest of the country as to what the future of the Democratic Party could look like?
I think this is really resonating because Americans aren't blind to it. They see the dangers and they see the disastrous results of these policies. And they should be weary of when you have a candidate whose top VP picks were someone like Karen Bass, who was, over in communist Cuba as a young activist, practically just even when Fidel Castro died, she was singing his praises. And the Obama-Biden administration, we saw their approach to these communist regimes, but now they've taken all the ideologies and put it right into the platform. They are running on these far left radical, it always sounds great, right? Oh, free college, free healthcare, free this. Well, everything will be quote unquote free except us. You'll have no freedom left. And it's a very dangerous ideology that they've let in. And I think Americans are going to vote accordingly in November. They're going to reject that ideology, especially when you see what's possible when we follow our ideals in America, prosperity, freedom of opportunity. Look what President Trump built 2019, the lowest poverty rate on record for every single demographic. That is a winning agenda. That's what's possible when we live up to American ideals. And that's what we're building, not just to get back there after this pandemic from communist China, but also into the future. We know the best is yet to come if we live on those principles of freedom and opportunity.
And Liz, I think you're touching on something that is even bigger than maybe just this election, because when we look at what the Trump campaign, for example, is doing, they're reaching out more so to black voters, for example, and Hispanic voters, more so than I have seen in the last couple of years. I mean, it's really a realignment, if you will, of politics in some regard, because even when it comes to this initial move, the end goal is for there to be more diversity within the Republican Party, to reach out to maybe demographics that in the past have not been reached out to by Republicans. We've talked about this idea that the Democratic Party is at a stronghold over some demographics, especially in the inner city, and it's to their detriment a lot of times. So when we look at this new support, for example, among Hispanics in Florida or black Americans in certain states as well, does this change the campaign strategy and where the Republican Party really feels that it can be competitive?
Well, it's really unified the Republican Party, and it's made us more bold with the leadership we have under President Trump. to give voters the option. I mean, what really hasn't happened in so long is we ceded all this territory to the Democrats and to the left, and we weren't really showing up. Well, there is a better option. There is a choice to be made. And President Trump, he said it best in 2016, what do you have to lose? We saw how much we all can gain. And we believe in the American dream. We believe in our ideals, our great country. We've never been perfect, but we have had the most freedom and the most opportunity for everyone. And hardworking Americans, regardless of your background, your race, color, or creed, Americans want the American dream. And that's what we believe in. And we know that was our message during the convention as well. Freedom of thought. This country was built on conscience rights. And that's really what this is all about. Don't tell me how to think because of the way I look, because of my gender. Joe Biden, oh, he expects you to vote accordingly. Well, there's a different choice. America is the land of opportunity and choice and freedom. And we can think for ourselves and we can chart our own course. And that's what the Republican Party stands for.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of people, too, are seeing that that big tent that the Democratic Party used to stand for isn't as big as it used to be. Nowadays, I keep using the example of a pro-choice Democrat, or a pro-life Democrat, I should say. It's non-existent anymore, and it's something that 10 years ago wasn't the case. But we saw what happened, for example, in Missouri, a state that turned red maybe because of that very issue. And I think a lot of Republicans see an opportunity to capitalize on a lot of people who feel disenfranchised by both parties, and Republicans see an opportunity to now expand their own tent. So I think that's what's happening right now as well. But I guess we'll know for certain on November 3rd. But Liz Harrington, it's always a pleasure having you on the program, breaking down the state of the 2020 race. Thank you.